I didn't notice it happening at first. It wasn't like a single moment where the lights went out in my mind. It was gradual, like a leak in a tire. Day after day, I was losing something: energy, hope, meaning. I was alive, but I wasn't living. I was breathing, but it felt heavy. I was walking, but I wasn't moving forward. Every morning, I woke up tired. Not the kind of tired that a good night's sleep could fix, but the kind of tired that seeps into your bones, into your soul. It lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind already racing before my feet even touched the ground. What if I fail again today? Why does nothing excite me anymore? That's even the point. And then the worst out of all. What if nothing ever changes? The strange thing is, no one could tell. I had become an expert at hiding it. I knew exactly when to smile, when to not, when to say, I'm fine. Online, I posted the right pictures. At work, I said the right words. Around friends, I told the right jokes. But inside, I was thinking. The waves of overthinking, regret, and anxiety were pulling me under. I didn't have the energy to swim anymore. It is the truth about mental pain. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it's quiet. It's the silence you carry inside while life goes on around you. It's laughing in public but feeling dead in private. It's the weight in your chest that no one else can see. I tried to fix it. I distracted myself with endless scrolling. I bought things I didn't need. I buried myself in work. I forced new hobbies onto myself hoping one would click. But no matter what I did, the shadow followed me. That's when the dangerous thoughts began to creep in. That's the point of working so hard. Why even try when it all feels meaningless? Why do I feel this way when I have so much care compared to others? I started believing that maybe this was just my life now. A never-ending loop of pretending I was okay while slowly falling apart inside. I was desperate for something, anything that could pull me out of that darkness. I didn't even know what I was searching for. But I knew if I didn't find it soon, I might lose myself completely. One night, I was on my laptop, mindlessly scrolling. Not looking for anything specific, just trying to distract myself from my thoughts. Then, I saw it. It wasn't a video or a long article. It was just one sentence. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The words were by Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who lived almost 2000 years ago. I don't know why, but those words hit me differently. They didn't feel like motivation. They felt like truth. Simple. Direct. Unavoidable. For years, I had been trying to control everything. People. Situations. Outcomes. And every time reality didn't match my expectations, I fell apart. But here was this man, a leader of an empire, saying, "Stop trying to control the world. Control your mind." That sentence wouldn't leave me. I had to know more. So, I searched his name and found out he was a Stoic philosopher. Stoicism, a word I had heard before but never paid attention to. As I read more, I discovered that Stoicism wasn't about being cold or emotionless. It was about mastering your mind. It was about living in a way where you are unshaken by life is chaos. It started over 2000 years ago in ancient Greece, then spread to Rome. And somehow, it survived all this time because its wisdom is timeless. These men, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, lived in completely different worlds than ours. No smartphones. No social media. But they faced the same human problems: loss, failure, betrayal, fear. And they found a way to rise above it. The first big truth Stoicism taught me was this. We can't control the world, but we can control ourselves. It sounds so obvious, but I realized I had been living the exact opposite way. I was trying to bend life to my will. And when it didn't happen, I broke down. Another Stoic, Epictetus, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." I thought about that for hours. How much of my pain was actually caused by life itself. And how much was caused by my reaction to life. The answer was uncomfortable. Most of my suffering isn't from events. It was from the way I thought about those events. I decided to test this philosophy. Not by making huge life changes, but by starting with small mental shifts. Step 1, the control test. When something bothered me, it stop and ask, is this under my control? If it isn't, it practice letting it go. Step 2, the present moment. Whenever my mind spiraled into, what if, about the future or me, about the past. It bring myself back to now. Because the states believe there, the present is all we really have. Step 3, gratitude through allows. Every day, it imagine losing something I love there. Am I health? Am I family? Am I home? It isn't to depress me. It was to make me realize how lucky I was to still have TRM now. Step 4, embracing discomfort. I started doing small things I didn't like, cold showers, walking in bad weather, feasting. Why? Because if I could handle small discomforts, the big ones wouldn't crush me. At first, nothing huge happened. But slowly, I began to notice. I was calmer. I was less reactive. Things that said to ruin my entire day now only ruined a few minutes. It wasn't about becoming a perfect person. It was about becoming a person who could bend without breaking. The shadow in my mind didn't disappear overnight. But it started to fade. For the first time in years, I felt a spark of control over my life. Not over everything, just over the one thing that truly mattered. My mind. The changes started small, almost invisible at first. It isn't like a movie where you wake up one morning and your entire life is fixed. It was more like the slow turning of a ship, barely noticeable day by day, but over time, the direction completely changed. And that's the first truth I realized about healing your mind. It's not a lightning streak. It's the sunrise. Slow, steady, and impossible to stop once it begins. The real test came a week after I started practicing Stoicism. I had a bad day at work. Something went wrong that wasn't even my fault. Before, I would have gone home angry, replaying the event in my mind over and over. I would have lost sleep, imagining what I should have said, how I should have responded. But this time, I caught myself. I asked, is this under my control? The answer was no. I couldn't change what had already happened. I couldn't change other people's behavior. So, I chose not to carry it. It was strong, almost uncomfortable, to just let something go. But when I did, I felt lighter. Like I had put down a heavy backpack I didn't even realize I was wearing. The next big shift happened in my relationships. Before, a single harsh word from someone could ruin my entire mood. I let other people's opinions write the story of who I was. If they said I was lazy, I felt lazy. If they called me selfish, I felt selfish. But the Stoics taught that other people's judgments belong to them, not me. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if someone can show me that what I think or do is wrong, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, but if it's just opinion, it means nothing to me. I began to live by that. If criticism was valid, I used it to improve. If it was just noise, I let it pass right through me. I can't explain how freeing it was to no longer be at the mercy of every passing opinion. One of my worst battles had always been anxiety about the future. I would replay by cerebral disasters in my mind. What if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if I'm not enough? But the Stoics had an answer for that too. The future isn't just yet. You only have this moment. And worrying about what might happen steals the strength you need to deal with what is happening. I began practicing something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. It sounds dark, but it's actually empowering. It imagines the worst by cerebral scenario, and then imagine how I would survive it. Suddenly, my fear shrank. Because once you've faced the worst in your mind, reality loses some of its power to scare you. One of the most beautiful lessons I learned was to appreciate life by remembering its fragility. The Stoics would remind themselves that everything they love is temporary. Not to be sad, but to be grateful. I started doing this too. When I saw my family, I told myself, this moment is a gift. One day it will be gone. And instead of making me anxious, it made me present. I stopped rushing through conversations. I started noticing the details, the sound of my friends, the way the sunlight hit the walls of my room, the taste of my morning coffee. This awareness made life feel richer. Because when you stop taking things for granted, even the small moments feel like treasures. The old me avoided discomfort at all costs. If something was hard, I delayed it. If something was scary, I ignored it. But Stoicism taught me that running from discomfort makes you weaker. So, I started leaning into it. It took cold showers and remind myself. If you can stand this, you can stand more than you think. It wake up earlier than I wanted and work in silence. Because self-discipline is a muscle, and muscles grow under resistance. I realized that every time I chose the harder path, I became just a little stronger than the day before. After months of practicing these principles, something incredible happened. I stopped seeing life as something that was happening to me, and started seeing it as something I was participating in. Before, I was a passenger, tossed around by the storms of circumstances. Now, I was the captain of my ship. The storms still came, but I knew how to steer. I stopped wasting energy on things I couldn't control. I stopped expecting people to act exactly how I wanted. I stopped trying to predict the future. And in letting go of all that, I gained something priceless, peace. I don't want to lie to you, but they still happen. People still disappoint me. Plans still fall apart. I still feel a sadness, anger, and frustration sometimes. But the difference is, I don't get lost in the RM anymore. Before, a bad day could turn into a bad week, then a bad month. Now, a bad day is just that, a bad day. IT pieces. Because I know my emotions are not permanent. I know I can choose how I respond. The greatest thing Stoicism taught me is this. Your mind is your last line of defense. You can lose money, possessions, opportunities, even people you love. But as long as you keep control of your mind, you are never truly defeated. Life is unpredictable. The only thing that stays with you until your last breath is your own mind. Protect it. Train it. Strengthen it. If you're hearing this and you're where I once was, feeling like you're mentally drowning, pretending to be okay while falling apart inside, I want you to know this. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are simply looking for control in the wrong place. You don't need the world to change. You don't need people to be perfect. You don't need life to be easy. You just need to take control of the one thing that has always been yours, your mind. And once you do that, no matter what life throws at you, you will never be powerless again. This 2000-year-old secret didn't just help me survive. IT taught me how to truly live. And if you let IT can change everything for you too. The real challenge with any philosophy isn't understanding IT. It's living IT. Day after day. Especially when life throws its hardest punches. You can read all the quotes. You cannot belong to the wisdom. But when the storm hits, your instincts will try to drag you back to your old ways. So in this part, I want to take you into the real, everyday application of Stoicism. How I turned IT from just inspiring words into a way of life. Every morning now, before I even touch my phone, I take a few minutes to put on what I call my mental armor. I ask myself 3 questions. What do I control today? What do I not control? How will I act, no matter what happens? This sets my dad before the world has a chance to set it for me. Because if you wake up and immediately react to the chaos, messages, news, or people's moods, you're already fighting on someone else's battlefield. Marcus Aurelius wrote, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, today I will meet people who are rude, selfish, ungrateful, but they cannot harm me unless I let them touch. So I prepare for challenges instead of hoping they won't come. That way, when they do, I'm ready. One thing Stoicism taught me is that pain is raw material. Just like a sculptor uses raw stone to create beauty. You can use hardship to shape strength. When something bad happens, instead of seeing why me, I ask, how can this make me stronger? This isn't about toxic positivity. It's about refusing to let suffering be wasted. When I lost a friendship I thought would last forever, instead of obsessing over the loss, I worked on becoming someone who could stand alone. When I faced financial problems, instead of falling into despair, I learned skills that made me more independent. Every difficulty became full. Not because I wanted them, but because if they were already here, I might as well grow from them. Detachment isn't about not caring, it's about caring in a healthier way. I learned to hold things like you hold sand in your palm, gently. If you grip too tightly, you lose it faster. If you hold it with easy, it stays as long as it's meant to. I still love deeply. I still give my all to the people and work I care about. But I remind myself, nothing is guaranteed to stay. This mindset doesn't make me cold. It makes me present. Because I'm not living for some data. I'm living for now. For years, my worst enemy was my own mind. It would replay mistakes. It would tell me I wasn't good enough. It would whisper fears at 2 часа ночи when the world was quiet. The states taught me to treat my mind like a friend I'm responsible for guiding. When it speaks lies, I correct it. When it spirals into fear, I bring it back to facts. When it insults me, I remind it. We don't talk to ourselves that way anymore. You cannot control every thought that pops into your head. But you can control which ones you feed. One of my mistakes before was trying to fix my life in one massive leap. When I failed, I felt like giving up completely. Now I understand. The Stoic path is built step by step. Small, daily wins. Getting out of bed on time. Doing one task I don't want to do. Pausing before reacting in anger. Every time you win a small battle, you train your mind for bigger ones. Self-respect is built brick by brick. Living this way has changed the way I connect with people. I no longer cling out of fear of losing them. I no longer expect them to read my mind or fix my emotions. I don't try to control who they are, I accept who they choose to be. And if someone leaves, I thank them for the chapter they give me and turn the page. Because holding on to someone who has already let go is like gripping a burning rope. You only hurt yourself more. The most confronting part of Stoicism is Memento Mori. Remember you will die of. At first, it sounded morbid. But then I realized, it's the most life-giving reminder there is. Knowing my time is limited makes me waste less of it. It makes me stop arguing about things that don't matter in a week. It makes me say, I love you, more often. Every day is one less day I have. And that's not meant to scare me. It's meant to wake me up. I used to think being strong meant nothing could hurt you. Now I know it means being able to be hurt and keep standing. Life will always be uncertain. People will change. Plans will collapse. Health will fade. But if you train your mind like a fortress, if you build walls of wisdom, fill your stores with patience, and light your house with gratitude, then no matter what happens outside, you remain standing inside. I will never be finished. There is no final level of Stoicism where you have mastered every emotion. There will always be new challenges. There will always be moments I stumble. But I promise myself this. I will never again let the world control my peace. I will never again hint my happiness to someone else. I will live each day as if it were both my first and my last. Because I was mentally dying once. And now, I am more alive than I ever thought possible. And if this 2,000-year-old secret could save me, I know it can save you too.